Hello, everybody. Here we are again for the Dead Money with Dan Arfin podcast. Like and subscribe to the channel so that you can catch all the latest updates about all the friends I've been making. So I think for this show, once again, I'm just going to go over this week's interactions with all the many brilliant kinds of people this great planet has to offer. And then in the next episode, which I plan to release shortly after this one, I'll hit on this past week's hand history highlights. It's been a good World Series of Poker so far. I've certainly been into the lineups I've played with for the most part. The volume of players seems down a little bit this summer. I mean, the Win 2-5 has been getting about 8 or 9 tables pretty steadily at this point. You know, once you get into the official beginning of summer, like late June, like we are now, I mean, then you are fully in and have been in and will remain in the eye of this World Series of Poker tornado. But nevertheless, 8 or 9 tables is a little less than what we often see. I mean, I've seen it get over 10 tables on a regular basis, sometimes as high as 13. So perhaps traffic is down this summer. I haven't looked into it. I don't really care. All I know is I pretty much like what I've been seeing. Anyway, so before I get into what happened last week, I got to talk about something as a little traumatic. I had a break-in last week. 3 women and 1 guy kicked my door in late at night. I was in my bed, naked, half asleep, until I was so rudely interrupted by these 4 intruders. Now, they weren't after money or possessions, surprisingly, because I have a Picasso in every room of my house and in each closet, but they paid that no mind. They were after my Johnson. They were dressed like those 3 goons in The Big Lebowski, and they were determined to cut my dick off because of what I said last week about that dealer/floor lady who got so butthurt and angry at me for cracking a joke at her that was in essence telling her to shut the fuck up. So let me just recap all of that again, and then we'll get to the main point of things, which I didn't think to do last episode. So here it goes. So we're playing on a Saturday afternoon, and about 10 minutes into this particular dealer's down, this woman, let's call her Susie Q, she makes a friendly comment to the table that was suggesting of, hey, guys, let's talk, let's converse. To which I said to the table, in a dry, joking manner, sort of like, kind of sounds serious, but kind of doesn't, but that's like the joke of it, is it's supposed to sound serious. I said, yeah, you guys want to talk about how dealers should be seen and not heard? And that's led to this whole thing where she didn't think I was kidding. She didn't think the players thought I was kidding, even though some of them were laughing. And she just took me far too seriously. I mean, and I even said I was kidding in the box. And then, of course, me and the players talked more about it after she left, and how whether or not I was out of line or not, which I wasn't. I mean, she just thought my tone was serious, and she didn't take it lightly at all. And waking up the next day, I was thinking how I want to square it with this person. I want to talk to her. I'm not saying it's got to be a big deal, but I want to tell her, like, hey, I was not being serious about any of that. Because you have to figure I'm going to have to deal with her again. And I didn't see her for a few days, but then I saw her by the podium, and it was weird. Like, I could tell she didn't really want to look at me. I didn't want to look at her either for that reason. This is not a good situation. I was not glad. I mean, I think it's funny that she got so pissed off about what I had said. And like to the point where she was telling players in the box when they were asking her things, she's like, no, I'm not talking. I'm not talking. And it took me a while for her to realize that she had gotten upset. I thought she knew I was kidding at first. But anyway, I'm thinking it would be a good thing if I could just, pull her aside when I get a moment and just clear the air here. So finally I catch up with her on a day where she was flooring again. So I was taking a little break, and I'm watching her from like afar, not too far, but I like watching her, I'm looking for a moment in which it looks like she's alone and won't be interrupted or disturbed. I go up to her and say, hey, remember me? She looks kind of amused to hear what I'm going to say. And I told her, I said, I don't know what happened, but I was being humorous the whole time. And she cut me off. It was telling me how the players didn't think I was kidding, which, as I already said, they were laughing. That made absolutely no sense. I don't know where the fuck she got that from. It's upsetting, goddammit. If the players were stone silent during this, I would have fucking just said, I'm kidding right on the spot, guys. Like, I wasn't going to just sit there and have this awkward silence and people staring at me and giving me dirty looks. You think I'm going to just fucking sit there and look at that and not say anything about it? You know how many times I've bombed on stage as a comedian? You know how many fucking times I'm in a silent fucking room? I don't just keep going when that's the case. I make a joke about how I'm doing shitty. Anyway, that's not important. The point is, she said that they thought we were like exes the way we were fighting. I was like, what? So I didn't even get to finish this conversation because then another floor lady pulls her away from us, pulls her away from me. And the way she snatched her away, it seemed like it was like two young girls at the club and one's trying to protect her friend from getting fucked by me. I mean, that's like kind of what it looked like, the way they giggled as they walked away. That was it. It was the giggles. Like, she was like, here, like, come with me. Or like, I was like, what? And then I made a fucking joke where I said they went to go click each other in the bathroom. Now, if you listen to this show, on more than one occasion, either I or a guest of mine made references to other ethnicities who play poker that may have been construed as racist depending on how self-righteous you were going to insist on being at the time. Otherwise it would have been obvious that I was either just kidding or merely stating an opinion on how certain people who look like certain people tend to behave when playing poker. But because of the nature of talking about people and merely mentioning their ethnicity, I always made sure to make it clear that I am not being racist in any way, shape, or form. This is just what we're observing. Well, I issued no such disclaimer last week, so allow me to do so right now, and then we will move on from this story, finally, once and for all. To anyone this might mean anything to, male or female, I meant no such genuine disrespect to either the floor lady and dealer in question or her colleague about either of their respective sexual orientations. Nor did I mean any genuine disrespect toward anyone who is either bisexual, homosexual, what have you. So if I offended anyone, you need not continue to be offended. This is the Dead Money Podcast, people. I need a lot of help, and I need a lot of therapy, and I need really all sorts of things just to make it through a day. But the most important part is, my pain is your pleasure, and don't act like it isn't. Don't act like you don't sit there loving every fucking second listening to me spew off about my immeasurable rage and aggravation towards these fucking morons I admittedly choose to deal with every day. But if you're going to enjoy hearing me writhe in agony, then I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. We tease rough at the Dead Money Podcast, but rough or not rough, we are in fact just teasing. We tease for the sake of trying to get you to say, oh shit, what the fuck? That's what's fun. If you can't take a fucking joke about anything and everything just in general, then you probably can't take a dick either, whether you want to or not. So these four fucking intruders, they tried like crazy. They gave it everything they had to de-dick me, but they failed. But I'll just tell you one last time, it doesn't make a difference to me what anyone does with themselves, sexually or anything for that matter. As long as they're not infringing on the freedom and individuality of others, then what do I give a shit? I'm very much of a simple-minded, live and let live approach. It's the only thing I've tried that actually works. So it's probably the move. I've been hit on by gay men countless times. I mean, holy God. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. You just, you wave it off and that's it. But I've always gotten along well with gay fellows. I suppose that's what made them comfortable enough to give that a shot. But whatever. I mean, my dealings with, homosexual men, they're basically girls. Actual girls have not hit on me. Just, I guess the male versions of them. Whatever. Quick little story here. Beauty in Essex. Beauty in Essex is this kick-fucking-ass, bougie, trendy restaurant in Vegas. Awesome fucking food, okay? Awesome. I'm there with a big crowd of people once. Bunch of friends, at least 10 people around this table. We bring our own wine. They'll cork it for you for whatever fee instead of, paying triple the price. During this fucking dinner, one of our, servers or whoever, since you have like 7 people on the waitstaff deal with you throughout the dinner now. That's been the case for years. But one of them straight up feels up my fucking back. I'm wearing a leather jacket. He takes his fucking fingers and like runs them up my back, like from the bottom to the, not the bottom to the top, but like probably a good 3 to 5 inches at least. And I have every right to throw a shit fit about this and complain and blah, blah, blah. And, I just did nothing. Why? I don't know. I mean, as much as I feel like it's really fucked up that he did that and just could get away with it, it's like, it's still this big effort that I have to just put forth. And it wasn't freaking worth it to me. So, all right, so we have dinner. I didn't say anything about this to anybody. Just let it go. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. Because it's not like any actual damage was done to me. I decided to just brush it off. It's not worth it to me. But anyway, they bring us a check, and we see that there's no corkage fee. The corkage was free. And my friend's wife is like, oh, wow, I wonder why they didn't charge. I can't believe that. That's like, they're shocked by it. And yeah, they should be shocked by it. I mean, we brought our own fucking alcohol with us. They opened it for us, and we drank it. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all for them to forget a thing like that. And this is just theory. It's unproven, but I think it's a pretty good theory. That's when I spoke up. I think I might know why we weren't charged for the corkage. And then I explained to them what just happened. And another time at the Cosmo. I don't know what the deal with Cosmo is, but maybe nothing. Holstein's. I got hit on by a gay bartender there. I had friends inside. I was going to go inside, but he gave me some free bourbon. We were just chatting. I don't know. It doesn't even cross my mind that he's giving me free alcohol for a reason. Here, he's letting me try, I mentioned some bourbon I like, Basil Hayden's. He's like, he pours it out for me, lets me drink for free. And then he asked for my number and I was like, oh, that's all right. I said, I'm going to just go back get with my friends now. I said, but thanks for the drinks though. And he looked very disappointed as I walked away. So really, it's just been one after another. I mean, this has been happening since in my early 20s. It happened at the fucking train station in New York. I mean, God. Anyway, so I told these 4 people who broke into my house, I told them these stories in their entirety before they could get to my Johnson completely, and it actually settled them down, and we all lived happily ever after. Anyway, I come in one morning. I really like coming in the morning. I really like getting there before 10 o'clock even. I don't know what it is, if I like getting over with, if I play my best, if I'm just my freshest, whatever it is. I just seem to be the most into it at that time, even if the game is boring. Anyway, I'd say within 5 or 10 minutes, I'm in seat 3. We see someone join in seat 5, and he sits down with the rack, and he comes in with the button. That hand, the button is going to be on his right, so he's going to wait a hand, maybe even 2 hands. Happens all the time. And 2 guys get into a hand. There's an all-in on the river for about 200, and a little bit of time is going by, and someone calls time. And a floor person comes over, but before the drama even really begins, the person folds. Or no, he called off. He stacked off. Now, I wasn't paying close attention to this hand, but then a couple minutes later, I looked up. I was like, wait, who called time? Because I was thinking about how I don't think it was that guy in seat 7. I didn't hear his voice. I didn't hear the guy in seat 8. It was no one on my side of the table. I was like, was it the fucking guy in seat 5, the guy who hasn't even been dealt in yet? It's I actually think it was. I feel like I saw him do it, but didn't really process it. So I asked again. I was like, who called time? And he's like, I did. The guy in C5. The guy who has not taken a hand called time. And time was upheld by the dealer. The dealer did not second guess anything. And just on principle, I went fucking apeshit. I mean, not angry. I mean, but I was like, you can't call time on him. I was like, you're not even dealt into the game. And then another player spoke up. He just said, yeah, you're the one guy who can't call time. I mean, I was the one who got much more into it. And we're in the corner of the poker room. This actually wasn't out in the tournament section. So we're in the corner. And he, this young guy, arrogantly responds. He's like, I want to play. Or he said something like that. I was like, you were not dealt into the game. I was like, you cannot do anything. I was like, you're essentially not even here. I said, what about them what about that woman sitting by the slot? Can she call time? She wasn't dealt in either. I mean, holy fucking shit. I really gave it to this guy. And he, something, he knew. He realized that that's absolute bullshit what he did. He didn't continue to defend it after that. And after that, I just dropped it and we just kept playing. So it came and went. But I fucking got in his face about this shit. I mean, you see what fucking people do? How the fuck am I supposed to just sit here and watch someone fucking do this? It's fucking ridiculous. Who has the nerve to call time on a hand? You haven't even dealt in the game yet. We've all seen it multiple times. A person sits down with chips and they never take a hand. They pick them up before they're even dealt in. They get called for another game. They change tables. They change their mind. Anything can happen. Now, I was really sick because last year I got into a game where I show up mid-hand, and there's a huge fucking tank going on. A huge fucking tank going on with a European player, and I'm sitting in seat one, watching this, and I know I can't call time, and I can't even do what I did. I was saying to my side of the table, I was like, hey guys, like, you know you can call time, right? I mean, I'm sure I'm not allowed to do that. I'm sure I'm not allowed to influence things like that. I can't imagine how could that ever be allowed? So yeah, all right, I broke the fucking rule too. But oh my God, I did not personally call time myself. I'm not that much of an asshole, Jesus. You have got to be fucking joking. I have never seen anyone do that before. Never. He says, I want to play. Oh, well, there's a lot of things. Okay. I'm sure you do want to play. That's great. Just keep your fucking mouth shut until this hand is over. Then you can play all the poker you want. Golly. You know what else happened this week? Twice when I'm in the middle of a hand. And the first time, I was in a 4-bet pot. This was unbelievable. I had 4-bet this reg pre in position with Ace King, a guy who was like giving me some problems in this game. And then I got this dumb Euro rec reg who I'd already doubled up with jacks against kings in a fucking stupid spot. Then he all of a sudden speaks. He gets like super polite. It's like, is it okay? Is it okay if I take this rack? And like, I'm just looking up. I ignored him. He's like, is it okay if I take this rack? And I look at him like, just take the fucking rack. I mean, then I think another player said, like, can you let him play the hand? I mean, over a chip rack. What am I going to do if you take my chip rack that I'm not done with? What if I say you can't have it and you take it anyway? What am I going to do? You know, how many of us in the world, have the complaint that people are inconsiderate? Well, they are, but look at the time that they tried to be considerate. This is the time he picks where he says, is it okay if I take your rack? Which, number one, he doesn't have to ask me to begin with. Once I take that rack off, once I take my chips out of the rack and just put it on a table next to me, that's not my rack anymore. That's the rack I came with. I don't, retain possession over it. I just didn't get up and put it away. That's what the freaking brushes are for and whatever. And then this happened a second time a few days later. It wasn't a 4-bet pot, but, I mean, that just tells you how little attention people pay. You can't say that I have cards at all. He should not say a word even if I haven't put a single penny into the pot. What if I'm under the gun one and under the gun is folding? Or if under the gun is thinking about his hand, because sometimes people tank pre-flop under the gun. As if, what do I do? So, that was unbelievable. And I don't know if I gave it a tell. I mean, it wasn't a 4-bet bluff with Ace King. It was 4-bet call off. Like, I was going with this hand. And, who knows if the player deduced anything from that exchange, if I was either comfortable or uncomfortable. I mean, I think I would have responded in a manner much like the one I did, whether I was going for a fold or not. I mean, I wasn't anxious to get the money in pre-flop, but I was willing to do it. And that if I did get the stacks in, I know that I'm either way ahead or a little behind, and it's not the end of the world. But holy shit. If you're going to ask someone for something, like in a poker game, maybe make sure they're not busy in the game at the moment either, Even when he's trying to be considerate, he's still being self-centered and oblivious. And a couple of days later, I pulled the cowboy hat out of the closet. Well, out of the box, rather. And then there was a guy getting up from the game, and he asked us if we could pass him the racks he could see on the little table on the other side of the poker table. He's in seat 6, and on the other side where I'm at in seat 2 or 3 is a table. And he's asking us for those racks because he doesn't want to get up and walk to the bin of racks, which is a slightly further walk from where he is. So, all right. So we say, yeah, he comes over to us, gets the racks, but there's another rack below the table. I said, that one, you got to bend over for. And he's like, whoa, easy there, cowboy. Okay. Then we had an old guy sit down where every time he announced the bet, he put straight at the end. I wasn't with him for very long. I table changed, but he bet 300 and it was 300 straight. As opposed, I don't understand. As opposed to what? 300 crooked? What is the straight for? And then it got to another, then he did it again. He said 575 straight, only it was 475 that he had put out. He had put another 100 in. But 575 straight. What is it supposed to sound cool? Whatever. So then we get to the next day, and this black guy joins the game, and it turns out he was from Texas, as he later announced. And I don't know. I was getting a lot of hands I could 3-bet. I kept 3-betting the same reg, and he kept folding. and I had strong hand every time. I had like ace, king, ace, king, ace, king, aces. Like sometimes you go in those little stretches where you're either card dead or you have a nutted starting hand, and it gets the showdown. So it's like when you've been in a game for say a couple hours and you've gotten to showdown 3 times in semi big pots or big pots, and all you've shown down is like aces twice and ace king suited once. You're going to appear very nitty to a lot of people, even if it's total bullshit. So I get aces against kings against the guy, and I stack them. And this black man, we'll just call him Jerry. So then comes a point where he starts telling me how nitty I am because ace is the only hand I play. He's like, I've seen you play 2-hand and it's just aces. And like, he wasn't even actually in the game for that long. He wasn't even in the game long enough for like that stretch I just described. It was probably more like 45 minutes when this started. Then it comes a hand where I get pocket tens. Someone raises, I 3-bet to 55, and he cold calls out of the big blind with like $300. The original raiser calls. He looks at me, he's like, I'm going to fuck up your aces. And then the flop comes ace, deuce, deuce. I was like, oh yeah? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about him now? We all check the flop. Then it turns another ace. I'm like, yeah? You still going to fuck up my aces? What are you going to pull out? Then I bet like 10% pot on the turn, and the Jerry folds and the raiser calls. Original raiser, pre-flop. And then the river actually was like a possible steel wheel card. I think it was a 3. Whatever it was, it actually did make a possible straight flush, which was hilarious considering what I had just said. And we go check, check, and I win this hand of showdown. So Jerry continues to, run it up, run it down, lose, lose. Then came a hand where I 3-bet 7-5 of diamonds on the button in a straddle pot. I 3-bet kind of big. He cold 4-bet shoves for like a min raise, gets back to me. I pretty much have to call. He has aces, and he made 4 aces. So, all right, Jerry, you got to have some fun. You didn't fuck up my aces. You just got your own. And then you got a couple more to go with them. So we've actually both been dealt the same amount of aces. You just got them all in one hand. Then he started calling me Cowboy John. And to which I said, I've been called a lot of things, but never that. That's kind of like my default response now to when I truly have been called something I've never been called. Then he told me to stop. Don't start getting sensitive now. And I was just like, not even actually responding that much to him. This time the response I chose was just to sort of rest my chin on my hand and just sort of smile and look at him. Smile without my teeth showing and just listen to him. Like, what else? What does this guy have to say? Because he's telling me don't get sensitive, but he actually does sound kind of frustrated and like he means this shit. And I'm just in awe and amusement. And eventually he bleeds it off again. And I think he came back. Then he said, I look like the guy who dresses up all big time to go to the gym, but doesn't play on the team. I mean, this guy was he was really getting after it. And I just sat there mostly. I mean, and I think I probably said something here and there. I mean, I wasn't just ignoring him. I was fully engaged. I just didn't respond very often. So then there's one guy in the game who's been playing badly all day, just making a lot of mistakes. He's not putting in a ton of money here and there, but it's just fucking up left and right. He gets a situation where we're hours into the day. He has Jack 6 on Jack 8 6 3. He only loses to Jack 8. He checks, sees a $210 bet on the river. Neither guy has more than $800 to $1,000 behind. And our man here, we'll call him Troy, calls the 210. The guy who bet the river turns over ace jack. Gotta be the nuts. No, the other guy turns over Jack 6. Troy turns over Jack 6 on Jack 8 6 3. Check calls $210. Does not check raise this river. Now the guy who lost just said, I'm surprised you didn't raise there. And then Troy says, I'm not greedy. And then I was laughing. I was like, if you're not greedy, then this game isn't for you. And now he got very butthurt. He tells me, and his English is not, his first language, but he can understand it, and he's speaking with confidence as he talks. He's just telling me, he's like, joke is for 2 people. Because I could see he's getting mad. I told him I was just joking. It's hard to remember everything that was said in order, but I got a lot of it down. He tells me the joke is for 2 people, and I was like, oh, well, maybe they just didn't hear me. And, I was kidding because they had to have heard me. I said it loudly. And he's like, look, you don't tell me, what is best for me. I know what is best for me. And now I told him I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, like you're taking me too seriously. And he says, I am not here to, like, when you take money from someone, you are happy. I said, well, yeah, that's why I'm here. I said, I want every pot I can get my hands on. And then, he's just going on still about, like, he's just very, very very put off by what I said. But then he says to me about poker, he says, teach me. He said, you should teach me. I said, okay, well, your first lesson is raise with that hand. And then the dealer laughed at that. And the dealer was this Asian woman who hardly ever talks, has a strong accent. See, a lot of dealers like that. And that got her to laugh because she was obviously thinking the same thing. She sees his hand. She's thinking, what the fuck? So that's when we know what a ridiculous thing, how ridiculous it really is, what we're talking about here. When you have a dealer like this, and even she couldn't keep a straight face. A lot of the Asian poker dealers whose English is not their first language, whether they deal here a lot or they're just in town for the series, a lot of them are just trying to stay stoic and quiet and professional. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know. These dealers stay very, very quiet. So if you can get one to laugh, like I say, I mean, what are we talking about here? Flop board is Jack 8-6-3. He's got Jack 6. He doesn't fucking check raise the river. It's like, buddy, everybody in the fucking world is going to raise you there, and you're going to probably lose with your ace jack. I mean, don't you want to at least try to win a little bit more money with the hand you have? Like, what the fuck? I told him. I said, trying to win more money doesn't make you greedy. Like, it's not fucking greedy to try and get the max value for your poker hand. Isn't that what everyone here is trying to do? Some people act like you're an asshole if you play hard against them. Like, why are you doing this? It's like, this is not a fucking basement home game for 25 cents. But look, greed or no greed, I've seen more and more of shit like this on the river. People check calling with completely nutted hands that have no reason to ever fear being beat. I saw it just a few days before that. I saw a guy call like a quarter-sized pot bet on the river. It was like $45 or $55 with the ace-high flush on a paired board. Like, quarter pot-sized bet. I didn't see the rest of the hand. Who fucking cares? He just calls right away. And nobody says anything. Everyone's like, oh, okay. And if you do say something to these people, they defend their play. They think like, I don't want to get re-raised, even though they're never getting re-raised. Like, I don't think I can get called by worse. Like, yes, you can get called by worse. Yes, you can get called by much worse, as a matter of fact. But hey, I don't need him to get better. So I'm like trying to square it with this guy. I mean, he's not getting too upset, but he's clearly like, he was definitely unnerved by this. Then he limps the button. I limp 5-4 offsuit. Big blind checks. Flop comes ace, king, queen, we check. Turn is a jack, we check. River is another queen, 3 diamonds. Ace, queen, king, jack, queen, 3 diamonds. Any 10 is a straight. I bet 25 into 15. Big blind folds. Button calls. This guy calls now with a 10. He had another 10. He had 2 10s on the button, limps with a diamond, and he talked about how he was going for a royal flush draw, which, yes, he was. And I said, hey, look, I got greedy. I said, it doesn't work every time. So this guy said he was from Kazakhstan, and then he was like, I'll host you there. And he also asked earlier if I was a real cowboy, and I said, yeah, I parked my horse in the garage. Now, I did eventually say to him at some point in this exchange, laughing, I was like, I'm sorry if I offended you. I was just, you're taking this too serious. He's like, no, you didn't offend me. Okay, so now he's claiming he wasn't even offended by this. Whatever you say. But you know something? When this was all said and done, I finally got to him. He bumped fists with me, introduced himself, told me his name, asked for my name, said it was nice to meet me. So look at that. Look at that. I salvaged something. I'm not a total piece of shit here, people. I just got a fucking sense of humor that some people don't understand. And it's got nothing to do with the size of my unknown sized dick. It's just how I want to be in this world. I just want to have a few laughs before I die. Can I do that? But while this went on with me and Troy, it somehow came up with my neighbor, sitting on my left, and he's a reg. And I don't even remember how the story came up, but it came up again, what happened with me and Susie Q. And he laughed as well at what I said. He was like, oh, Jesus. He's like, so that was a little rough, but it was borderline. He's like, you didn't do too much, and it was very nice of you to at least try and square with her when you told her that you were just kidding. And as this was going on between me and Troy, I said, yeah, like it's happening again. I said, this happens to me all the time. So yeah, I guess, the manner in which I joked with Susie Q, it's like there seems to be this 50-50-ish response is like, who thought it was funny and who thought it was like, oh shit, like that's crazy, but still thinks it's funny. Now look, I mean, I realize I bring this on myself all the time. If you're going to crack jokes at people, you don't know how they're going to take it. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's the risk I'm incurring, and it's unreasonable and also, unentitled to demand that people even get the joke you're cracking. You got to live with the fact that this might upset them. Because if they don't get the joke, they're going to think you're making fun of them. And if you're comfortable with that possibility, then go ahead and crack your joke, I guess. But just, from my perspective, I know I can't sit there and act too surprised if someone gets offended by something I say. That's not good for me. I mean, I can go on all day about why it should have been obvious, and maybe it should have been, but the fact is it wasn't. Not to them, at least. So, you're taking a chance, that's all. And I guess I don't mind taking these chances, because what chance am I taking? I mean, if the guy's a total psycho and shoots me in the garage, well, fuck. But that really shouldn't happen. But the bottom line is, I don't like to resist being a smartass in a lot of cases because it's just too much fun. Like, I like to freaking crack jokes. What's wrong with cracking a joke? I mean, I'm already in a poker game looking to outwit people, so it seems only natural to do it verbally too. And we got all this downtime and a lot of waiting and boredom and a million other bad things. So what's the problem if I decide to talk some shit to try and help, get through some of this? People, they ain't too cool. Not most of them, right? How many people you come across in this world where, they want to play hardball until it's their turn to get into the box and hit? It's your turn to take all their shit they have to dump on you, but when you give it back, no, that's too much. You don't get to do that. Only they do. All the same, looking to fight dirty until they get a dirty fight, so you start fighting back. So they're just a bunch of pansies with double standards. That's what it comes down to. So say what you want about me and what a big asshole you might think I am. I'm not going to sit here and say, all right, you're not wrong. I sit here and say you're wrong necessarily. It depends. So it's all well and good. But I'm at least proud of one thing, and that is I can roll with my fucking share of punches. I don't consider someone calling time on somebody else when he's not even in the game. I don't consider letting that happen to be rolling with the punches. I consider that being, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, that I'm not going to roll with. When I told the table, hey, you guys, you can call time, and how I admitted I know I'm not allowed to do that either. The biggest reason I did that is because it was a European player tanking. And they're notorious for doing this. We've been seeing it for years, and all they do is fold in the end. They always fold. And there's nothing wrong with them folding, but when they always fold, they don't get to tank for 7 minutes every time. You've already gotten past the point where you would have called in. Like, if you were going to call, you were going to call in like a minute or less. We're past a minute, so you're going to fold. Now we're just waiting for you to do it, and you're just not doing it. And I've had enough of these people, and I'm targeting them, and I'm not going out of my way to be respectful to them because they are just ruining the game. I'm pushing back, even breaking the rules, because I feel like they're kind of breaking the rules. I mean, they're not breaking the rules, but this is not cool. You cannot tank 7 minutes for every freaking huge river spot and then fold every single in all of them. Like, you can, but you can't. So whatever. I'm sure we can all be hypocrites sometimes. Doesn't mean you're always a hypocrite. But, yeah. All right. Well, lastly, to close out, I saw the woman who called me a misogynist again. I talked to her about this in the very first episode. It's called Part 1 of Episode 1. I actually had to re-release it because the sound was all fucked up. And by the way, I'm sorry about the sound sometimes, guys. All right. I'm sorry. It's an amateur fucking podcast. I'm doing my best over here. All right? I'm sorry about the sound. I actually kind of think it worked in that other episode because I was drunk anyway. But, all right. I see this woman. I saw her last summer too. And I told her, she was at the table where I was telling players, you guys can call time. She was at the table. And then I saw her in the room afterwards. I told her, hey, remember me? You called me a misogynist. I was like, I call time on people. It's got nothing to do with their gender. I mean, it was just such cosmic humor. I feel like it was almost like cosmic humor putting us back together. I see her a third straight summer. All right. She loves coming to Vegas during the World Series of Poker. Good for her. And guess what? She got into a pot where she was put all in on the river for a small percentage jam. Like, it was probably 700-800. She probably had less than 300. She was thinking for a while. But it wasn't too long of a while. But I noticed that she was thinking for a while. And I was thinking, you know what? I think I'll just wait this time. It's okay, lady. You just take whatever time you need. And she ended up folding in a timely manner anyway. I mean, I didn't give her a break, technically, because she hadn't reached the point where she was taking too long yet. If this had never happened before, I would not have thought to call time yet. And after playing with her again for hours, I still can't believe this person blew that type of gasket and how badly she did. She's just pleasant-natured all day, Doesn't argue with anybody. It seems nice when she speaks, whenever time she does. Keeps the game moving. You just never know. You don't know what's inside of people until something triggers it. I mean, it's a big deal, kind of, to like call him a man a misogynist in front of a table full of people, like to erupt at him like that. Because, I mean, she obviously didn't think she was taking too long, but she was. I promise you she was. And we called time on her on the turn. It wasn't even on the river. So, the hand not even over yet. She folded and got shown a bluff. Yeah, of course. She got so pissed off when I called time on her that she couldn't even think about the hand anymore. So of course she fucked up. Yeah, well, whatever. Life's just as hard on everybody else as it is on me. And, I think everybody could all use their own Dead Money podcast. Maybe in her case, Dead Men podcast. But that aside, that'll do for this week, everybody. Good talking as always. And I'll hit you again soon with the hand history. See you next time.